Hey guys, this is a new video, and in this video I want to talk about the correlation of Bitcoin and stocks and gold. We know that Bitcoin was created in 2008, and it was supposed to replace the legacy financial institutions that we have right now. A lot of people right now are talking about it, and right now you can see on the screen a big debate about Mike Saylor and Frank Giustra. Don't know who it is, but a very clever guy. And there's a lot of talk about whether Bitcoin is going to be the next gold, or what it's going to do basically. I don't know for sure, but what I think is going to happen is that Bitcoin is going to take a certain place in our ecosystem. And what we need to do is we need to understand what the correlation is between Bitcoin and other assets that we have right now. It's that simple. We don't have to be like super great economists, but we need to understand our the basics, you know. So let's look at the correlation of Bitcoin for the last like 8 years, from 2012 till 2020. What we had is that Bitcoin is on average is 0.01 versus S&P, and now let's talk about what this actually means. Basically, -1 is the completely reverse correlation. Whenever S&P goes up, Bitcoin goes down. This will be -1, and just 1 plus 1, just 1 will be complete synchronous movement. Whenever Bitcoin goes up, S&P goes up, and the other way around. 0 is basically somewhere in the middle. Why do we care about this correlation or correlation that much? We care about it because if you go in to buy S&P 500 stocks right now for $1,000, and you're going to buy Bitcoin for $1,000, and it goes in the same direction as your S&P 500 holdings, this would mean that you would basically just have bought a little bit more of the S&P stuff. And that's the point. That's the point, people. Let's look at the correlation right now in 2020. Right now is 2021, but you know what I mean. If we look at Bitcoin versus these 6 types of asset classes, if we look at S&P 500, we're going to see 0.22. This is not 1, but that's a lot. That's a lot. That's really a lot. And if you look at bonds, that's very low, because bonds usually produce very low yields and they're highly secure. With gold, it has the highest of the levels. So this means basically that Bitcoin is becoming an extension of gold. That's also very important, because Bitcoin is basically a new kind of like similar to gold, but I'm not sure about it right now. So now let's look at how the correlations have been changing, and then we'll talk about the future projections. Like, I don't know why they did it from the right to the left, but like what's going to happen to the left. So if we look at gold, because gold is the highest level right now, let's look here. We used to have -0.004, now we've got 0.34, so it's clearly growing. It's clearly growing. And if we look at every class, we're going to see a certain level of growth, a certain like good level of growth. What this means is basically Bitcoin is growing together, like it's becoming more and more correlated with everything of these classes except for bonds. Now let's look here again at the average correlation, or like this correlation between the classes against each other. So if we look at US bonds and S&P 500, we can see a lot of like -2.5. So these are very different. These are very different things. They are very discorrelated things. If we look at oil and emerging market currencies, they're kind of like correlated, 0.22. Now let's go here and look here. No, sorry, I got it wrong. I meant let's look at gold and oil. Okay, gold and oil. So it's basically 0, like 0.08. That's basically 0. Now, importantly, let's go here and look here. Oil and what was that? And it was gold. Oil and gold. You can see that, right? I'm going to just mark it in red. It's basically kind of the same. So wait, Oil and gold are not correlated, like they are zero correlated here. They're zero correlated, right? Oil and gold, zero correlated. But if we look at the correlation against Bitcoin, we've got almost the same things. The same thing. So what's my point? My point is that Bitcoin is it's trying to, it's not trying, like the world is trying to understand what the heck Bitcoin is, and it's just Bitcoin, you know? That's the phase. It's going to correlate with anything and everything. It doesn't care. Because let's look at the long-term potential. Long-term potential. If we look at the S&P 500, it's going to go up. What is going to happen with Bitcoin? Nobody knows, because of the future potential. Just imagine in 20 years, when the first Mars colonies are going to get, not independence, but they're going to get some level of self-sufficiency, and the first economy is going to be set up between the two planets, what kind of assets are they going to use in order to transact? Is it going to be gold? Freaking no. It's going to be Bitcoin. Now, what does this mean? This means that at that time, Bitcoin is going to become the solar system currency. Seriously, the solar system currency, the first one. Gold is going to be gold. I'm not sure what's going to be happening with gold, but Bitcoin is destined to take that path. That's what I understand, and I'm an influencer, a budding influencer in cryptocurrencies, so I do have a big bias here. And what I mean is that, like, okay, so, but there's always going to be the limitation of 21 million coins, right? It's just inevitable. It's going to be the same 21 millions all the way throughout our existence. It's not going to change. There's nothing is going to change. It's going to be the same $21 million, the same 21 million, not dollars, but Bitcoins. It's going to be like that for the eternity. Nobody's going to mint more of them. My point is that, okay, so what does this mean? This means that as the price goes up, and Bitcoin is going to be, let's say, 500k, okay? 500k. Now, that's what's going to happen, maybe in 2030. Then, whenever the first colonies are going to start doing, like, good amounts of trade with the Earth people, Earthlings, this would mean that the amount of Bitcoins being engaged in those transactions is going to increase, because people will be finding that Bitcoin is like it has the utility for them. It's useful for them. It's not just a cool thing to have. It's like what they need in order to transact with other planets. Whenever this happens, some piece of the 21 million stack is going to be taken out. Like, it's going to be taken out by Mars. It's going to be sitting there in reserves. It's going to be sitting there in lightning channels. It's not going to be actively on the market. This would mean that the supply is going to go down. Whenever supply goes down, and whenever we have the limited supply, this would mean that the price would go up. And that's my point. The price will continue going up. And people living in 2040, like, imagine you live in 2040 and you need to buy the fertilizer for your Mars cucumbers. You call your partners on Earth and you say, howdy guys, I need some fertilizer. And they say, okay, no problem, we're gonna like deliver the fertilizer in like 4 months or like in 1 year. And you're gonna say, okay, and then you use Bitcoin to transact. Bitcoin at that time, let's say it's gonna be like $1 million. Are you gonna care that it's $1 million? No, you're not. You're gonna use futures. You're gonna just fix the price so that you are not impacted by the volatility. But if Bitcoin is the de facto solar system level currency, you're gonna use Bitcoin. You're not gonna care about its price. Now, what does this mean? This basically means that we need to understand how it's going to correlate in 20 years with these things. Is it going to be correlating with oil? Is it going to be correlating with gold? Is it going to be correlating with S&P? My answer is yes. Yes, it's going to be correlating with lots and lots of things. But for only for certain periods of times, because it's just a phase. The correlation of Bitcoin versus one of these asset classes is just a phase in its journey. At some point in its journey, it's going to traverse the boundaries of these specific asset classes, and it's going to become the solar system level currency. At that point, it's going to become what dollar is right now. Is there a second dollar? No. If there is no second dollar, there is no need for us to talk about the correlation of dollars against the second dollar. Now let's look at the Russian ruble, for instance, since I've got Russian roots. Does Russian ruble correlate to dollar? Is a question. We can talk about it. There are patterns here, but it's the Russian ruble versus the United States dollar. It's not the United States dollar versus the Russian ruble. I'm not saying the Russian ruble is bullshit. I'm saying like dollar doesn't care that much about the Russian ruble because there's a lot of currencies. Like there's a pie. There's a pie, okay? There's a pie of currencies like this, like this, like this, like this. And here is Russian ruble, for instance, or something like that. Now, Russian ruble is just like this thing. Russian ruble Russian ruble does care about its correlation versus the dollar. The dollar does not. And if the dollar is going, if BTC is going to be the new dollar, is going to replace the dollar, like in 20-30 years, it's not going to care about the correlations anymore. It's just going to be what dollar is right now. And this is what I've learned through my research into the correlation questions. I've invested a couple of days doing this in the evenings, and I really like this vision because this supports my long-term position that we should buy and hold Bitcoin for like forever. You should never sell your Bitcoin, just buy and hold it. There's nothing wrong in buying and holding it for a very long time. Pass it to your heirs. Don't sell it, man or woman. Just keep on holding on to your Bitcoin. That's my point, because the correlations that we're seeing right now in the background here it's not bullshit. It's what we see right now. It's what you would see in, let's say, I don't know, like whenever the first dollar was created, because the first dollar, when it was created, it only survived a couple of, I don't know, months or years, and then it just got under and they created the second dollar because the United States wasn't that powerful yet. And then you would potentially try and compare that thing against the Russian ruble, but at that time it was very weak. And right now, United States dollar is the currency of the biggest country, and it's the currency of the world, the global currency, in all kinds of ways. The same thing is going to be with Bitcoin. The torch is going to be passed from dollar to Bitcoin. We just don't know when exactly it's going to happen. And it's not going to be like a date on the calendar. It's going to be a long-term journey for like 20 years. The starting stages of that process is going to kick in approximately in 2030, 2040, 2050. Just buy and hold your Bitcoin. You're going to pass it to your children, and them are hopefully going to pass the Bitcoins to their grandchildren. And you can always lend your Bitcoin and make some money and use that money to live on that thing, That's my point. So thanks a lot for listening. Sorry for a little bit of rambling and ranting here. I'm just starting out this channel. If you like my channel, go to the description and go into the Telegram group. And also, if you want to donate to me, because I'm a beginner YouTuber, I'm going to show the link in the description that shows to you why you should actually donate to me, because in return to the donation I'm going to airdrop all the coin which I'm going to create in a couple of months, and then I'm going to include you in the distribution of a certain portion of my issuance whenever my own coin is going to the market. And I'm learning direct and solidity. I'm going very deep into cryptocurrencies. I'm never going to be the next Andrei Kronia, but I can be a decent personality here, and I can be making like 5-6 projects that make sense and that the market's like. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Have a great time. Bye bye.